Okay, friends, welcome to another very interesting session of learning a very unique command that is called find command. Right? Find command is very similar to your Google search. You type out anything in the Google and Google filters out for you. But find command is very powerful. I mean, in the coming examples, you will realize that you can find everything and anything whatever you're looking for, but it works on Linux and the Unix system. Okay, so how does the command look like? Command looks like you first need to type in the find command, then you need to specify the path, and then you need to give the search criteria and the action. We'll see more in detail. So first of all, everything else than find is optional. So if you miss out everything, what find will do for you? It will list out all the files and folder along with the path in the current directory. So if you write find, it will have the same result. If you write find dot, that is your current directory, it will have same result. And if you write find hyphen print or find dot hyphen print, it will have the same result. If you want to do some specific finding, you need to say find location and name. We are just saying find by the name ABC. Okay, so we'll see a practical example how it actually works. So I do find, you see, it has listed out all the files and folders in the current directory. If I do find dot, it does the same thing. If I do find print, oops, so it does the same thing. Okay, so how to find a unique file? So I will say find, then path current directory, then I will say by name is abc.txt. How, what it does, it finds a abc.txt in the current directory and in subdirectory which is in the current directory. Okay, so it means finds anything recursively. It is very important to keep this in mind. Okay, now we can specify type. What type of search I want to do, whether I want to find a folder or I want to find a file. Okay, so if I say type hyphen f, it means I'm trying to find a file. If I want to say I want to find a directory only, I will do type hyphen d and the directory name. But in the current directory we don't have a directory by the name abc, so I will search in the system and we see it's only finding directories that is matching to this name. Okay, that's very interesting. This is how it provides you the great command to search anything and everything. It is ultimate command, and if you learn you will realize that it gives you ultimate power to access anything. Okay, coming back to our tutorial, we have seen how to find a file basis the name. Now similarly, if I want to find a file in any specific location, I can very well do that, right? I can very well do that. And now it's very important to understand if I want to a file using a wildcard. Okay, wildcard is used for finding generic information, right? Suppose if I want to list all text files, how would I do it? I will mention it as star.txt and it will list out all the text files. Okay, but it is important to realize that it should be under inverted commas to make a correct interpretation of it, right? And similarly, if I want to do a case insensitive search, then I have to use I in front of it, and as we discuss about the directories. So let's have a practical session based on the same. So if I want to find, okay, say files from the current directory that is of text nature, that is .txt, then I will do this. You see it has listed all the text file, nothing else. Okay, so this is how we specify specific thing. right? And suppose we also see an error case. Suppose if I don't do this, what it happens? It says it has encountered error because it's not able to interpret the wildcard. Okay. Now if I want to do a case insensitive search, I will use hyphen I in front of the name, and then I will say abc.txt, the file I am trying to find out. Now you can see that it searches for both abc.txt in caps and in abc.txt in a small letter. So this is how you do case insensitive search. Okay, so let's go back to tutorial. Now we are trying to find files basis permissions. You know, every file and folder in Linux have permission. Permission for generally in Linux we have, or Unix system we have permissions like read, write, execute. We also have numeric value attached to it. Okay, so we'll discuss while finding it in detail. So suppose if I want to a file with permission 777, it means the user, the owner, the group and others, right? It's UGO. So it's the first, you just leave out 0. It is a special bit setting. I will tell you what it is. Seven, first 7 is the owner of the file, second 7 is the group, third 7 is the others, right? So it is seventh means you have all the right, like read, write and execute. So if you want to find file with all the permissions, you need to type param. So your search criteria is the permissions and you want to file with this permission. Similarly, if you want files without these permissions, all the files, then you just negate it. Okay, then we have SGID and SUID and sticky bit. What is first I should start with a sticky bit. Sticky bit is like it is for security purpose. Suppose if you want all the files in a folder cannot be deleted by anybody else than the owner and the root, then you set a sticky bit. How you do it I will tell you. So if you want to see all the files with the sticky bit on, so you can do this way, or I will tell you, you have another examples also. So one is for that, otherwise you can do say O is equal to T. So T stands for sticky bit. Similarly, if you want SUID or SGID based searching, then SUID is represented by 2. Okay, and SGID is also represented by 2. These are also a specific bit setting which helps in securing a file. So what SUID means? SUID means that if you are running a file with SUID set, then the file will run with the access rights of the file owner, not the person who is running. Okay, so it does not matter what the current user is, it will run according to the permission given by the owner of the file. Similarly for the group, it's SGID. I will have a tutorial on this, a very quick one, so we'll discuss those things in detail. Okay, let's go back to our training session. Okay, so the first thing I want to find, uh, in current directory, all the files with permission, param 0777 read, write, execute, and I will say print. I can even leave that. Okay, oh sorry, so oops. Okay, so you see that this file this file has all the permissions, right? So you, this one is the owner of the file, permissions for the owner, this is read, write and execute. Similarly you have other, group has also read, write and execute, and others also have the same rights, UGO we call it. Okay, so we also have numerical implementation of it. The read has permission 4. Okay, this is for your understanding. The write has sorry the read write has permission to numerical value 2, and the execute has numerical value 1. That's why it's come out to be 777. You see, no, it's 6 and 1 is 7. So you can do it other way also. Okay, so similarly, if I want to find file who does not have this permission, then it will give me all the files which does not have this permission. Then I can change, I will say 755. So user, the owner of the file has all the rights, but the user only has read and execute right. It does not have a right. Similarly, others have this one, right? So we can also search those files. Okay, so these are the files which has these rights. Okay, so it's very simple. I mean, basis the permission you can find files, right? Similarly, if I want to find file um, basis uh, SGID, so how would I do it? I will say um, SGID set. So I have no file set with the SUID. Okay, just let me see. Okay, so I have no file with SGID set, but I will have file with SUID set. I don't have any file with the SUID set. So this is how you actually find files with SUID. So you are looking for the SGID because group is set or not, and then you are looking for SUID. You are checking in the user one. Similarly, you can check for sticky bit. You say others. Does others have a sticky bit on? No, you don't have any file with that uh, mm, uh, that thing. Okay, so uh, do we want to create a file to see whether it searches this way or not? Okay, okay, so let's let's change it to, let's remove it and let's see. Yes, it does fine, right? So actually initially what I did, I was looking for a file that is set. I don't have any file with a sticky bit set. I have a folder, so I just removed that specific search criteria, and now you can see that I have a folder called libosep, right, which has a sticky bit set. So I mean, only the owner can delete the content of this folder and copy or can move. Nobody else can do that. Okay, similarly we can check the SUID. U is equal to S, and we have a folder where yeah, you have a folder which has SUID set. Similarly, let me see if I have a group also. Yes, I have a group also. So this is how you find files basis the permission, right? I will have a quick session on SGID, SUID and stick. It's a little confusing, but once I will go through the tutorial, you will find it very easy. Okay, so we are done with the search basis the permissions. Now, a very important example for find command is that it can, after finding, you can actually do anything with that result set. So what this command is doing, it is finding all the file with this permission, and it is actually changing the access mode to 755. Right. So how does it does? You have two ways of doing it. In fact, you have multiple ways of doing, two ways which I admire doing it, using -exe command. Right. So what -exe says, it says whatever your search is, I will execute the command mentioned in front of me. Right. So it is converting the permission, all the files with this permission to this permission, and this braces are a placeholder for all the search that you will get, and this is the terminating command. Okay, termination of the command. The same thing you can do it with xrang, right? Xrang is sarg is also very efficient way of executing anything on your search criteria. But there is one problem with xarg, that it whenever any search happens, it consider a space between each input as a separator, and you can have a file or folder name that has a space in it. So this command actually breaks or fails. So to avoid that, is very important to use print 0, and you also need to say xarg -0. This means now all the search will have in search input will have a separation by a null. So command generally xarg never fails. I tell you, xarg is more efficient than exe. So for searching a lot of files and folders and finding out result, xarg gives you result in quickest time. Although we have another way of making .exe exe thing, the exe command faster. I will tell you more about that. Okay, so let's get into action, the practical session. Okay, so I want to find a file, right? I want to find a file, and I want to delete it. So let me find a file. So I will say hyphen type f. Okay, and I'm saying let's find this file, and then I will do hyphen exe chmod 755, change it to this permission placeholder. You need to have a space between the placeholder and the backslash termination. Okay, let's see. So has it converted, right? So let us see ltrh. Okay, uh, okay, so okay, so we have a file. Let's give it a permission 777 to this file, right? So this file has all the permission. Let me execute the same command and see whether it changes permission or not. It does, you see. So what this command does, it goes in the current directory and in some directories look for this permission file, and then it passes on to this command. It changes that permission of the file to this, right? Similarly you can run the xrang thing. Let's change the access mode of the file again. It's changed, right? Okay, now uh, let's write a new find command. Say type hyphen name. No, I am not searching on name, so I am doing on permission 0777, and then I say print 0 separate file. Should the search file should have uh, the search file should have separation as null. Then I say sargs, and now sargs should also search file basis the null, and then I do the command and I do 755. I run it. So we have made some error. Let me see what is that. Okay, so I have not mentioned f here, so it does it. Okay, so let me see whether the file permissions have been changed or not. You see that. Okay, so this is how you use find command, and you can use anything. I mean, you can use with you can use anything. I mean, you can use here move, or you can list your file, you can rename your file, you can do anything. It's very powerful, right? So let's move ahead in our tutorial. Okay, similarly you see that I'm finding files using the while command, and I'm deleting it, or I'm finding files basis the permission or basis the name and doing whatever I want to, right? Here I am finding all the empty files and I'm deleting it. Okay, so you just need to be a little careful when you use rm, right? So otherwise it may delete, if you are not careful, it may delete very important files, and you may end up screwing about yourself. So it's important to realize these things. Okay, now it's a very interesting thing is using I mean, if you want to find all the hidden files, how should you do that? So you do that by typing by typing find, and then you are saying dot, because hidden files in Linux or the Unix system starts with a dot. So you say dot star and it will do it for you. Okay, so I will not take the practical session on it. It's pretty simple. Okay, so now I want to find files basis time. Unix files has three very interesting ways of time finding. It is, you can find files basis the access time, you can find files basis the modify time, and you can find files basis the C time. Okay, so what all this stands for? Change time. So the A access time means you are finding a file when it was last accessed. Similarly, M means file is modified, whether content was written or something was done with the file. And when you say change C, it means the inode value of the file changed. Okay, so in time finding you also have two options. One is time, another is minute. So what does time says? Time says 24 hours a day, it means. So if you say time with M modify A access or C, so it would be C time, A time, or M time. And you say 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, right? This is how it searches. So here I'm saying modify time 10 days. So you find all the files that has a that was modified last 10 days, exactly 10 days. So if you want to do if you want to find file that was modified in last less than 10 days, you do a minus 10. Similarly, if you want file that was modified after 10 days, you say plus 10 days, right? And similarly, you have A minute, M minute, C minute. This means you are finding a file which was modified 1 minute, last exactly 1 minute. And if I want to find a file which was modified in last 1 minute, I will say -1. Okay, so let's take up practical sessions on the same and clear it out. Okay, so we are all set to go. Let's clear this clutter first, and we are what ready. Okay, so I say find file in entire system where m time is 1 day plus. Okay, so it files all the files in the entire system which was modified in more than 1 day. Okay, so I can better do it for current directory because my search result would be huge, right? Very okay. So this is a small one, right? So within less than 1 day these files were modified. Similarly, I can do it for A time, access time. These were the files that were accessed in last in less than 1 days. And C time, whose values inode values changed, right? In less than 1 days. Okay, similarly, if I want to find files in less than file which was accessed in less than 1 minute, okay, and say modified in last 1 minute, there is no file. So let us now do some work. Let us create a file, right? Say a b z q a z, right? And let us see whether it actually finds it or not. Okay, we just created it, so it is able to find. So you will able to see that, right? It include all the access file and the inode value change, right? Now we'll see whether it exactly find in less than 1 minute or okay. The spelling was wrong. I'm saying watch. I believe you know watch command. If you want to, if you want to watch anything, right? Um in a repetitive manner. So you use watch command, and watch command will repeatedly execute your command, and you can see the command output every 2 minutes by default, and you can also reset this time to any time using a hyphen n with it. Okay, you see it exited. So find command generally finds command that is with uh, time value that is was last one. So my hyphen one means all the file that was modified or accessed in last 1 minute. If you say plus one, more than 1 minute. Okay, if you say one, it will match exactly one. So you need to understand what actually you want as a search result. You can also give it a range. Okay, you can say um, m minute plus one, and you can say less than m minute, okay, minus 3. So which was modified more than 1 minute but less than 3 minutes, we have that file. So you can also define range, and you can find files accordingly. Okay, okay, let's move forward to our tutorial. We are done with the file finding our files basis the time. Okay, okay, so now the next section involves finding files basis the user. So user could be root, user could be your own your own name, it could be Sachin or anything of that kind, right? So you can find file basis the user or the group, and also with the size. I will come on to size in the later section, but let us find files with the user. So if I want to find file, if I want to find file with user, I will say find, okay, in the entire system user, all the with root user, and name is equal to abc dot txt. So it uh, okay, sorry, it was a typo. So you see this files has a root user, that's why it's able to find this, right? So you can find file basis the user or the group or anything. The next thing is finding file basis the size. So it is very important, I tell you, this command is extremely important, because you need to sometime find file basis a basis the size, and you want to then delete it or do anything with it. So here you are saying find file according to the size. So the search criteria is size, and you are saying less than 1 MB. Okay, so it's less than 1 MB, and you can also say you find files which are more than 1 MB. Okay, and okay, uh, sorry, uh, size less than 3M. So it will find a file between this range, between 1M and 2M. Let's see whether we have, yeah. So we have this much directory. Okay, this much files or directory which has this size. We can we can have type hyphen f for specific to file. Okay, for specifically searching files. Okay, now you see that while finding files or folders, you get this kind of junk data which is saying you have no directory and all. So if you want to emit it, you just do a redirect to dev null, and it will only search what is required, and it will not give any of such failure results. Okay, so you can avoid it by using that thing. I will once again go to it. You do find, you do location search entire system, size is plus more than 1 MB and less than 3 MB. Similarly, you can have in bytes and in other modes as well. And then you are saying that if anything is error, then move it to dev null device, so it won't be printed out onto your system. Okay, so Similarly, now you can make more meaningful command where you can have -exec, and you say you remove file of this nature, right? And it will remove file. So this is how you can manage your hassle free file. You can search log file. You can also say like name, uh, name star dot log file. So if you want to delete all the log files, you can do such things, right? So it will find all the logs file within this size and it will remove it. Okay, the only thing we need to remember is that while removing we need to be very careful. Okay, let's go back to the presentation and let's see what else is left. Similarly, you can you like we know that finds file from the subdirectories also. So you can limit the level to which the files find will look into, right? Similarly, I have already spoken about you can redirect the error things into the null directory. And if you want to find all the files which are not html, you can have a not, right, not in front of the name, and it will work that way. Similarly, you can club find with grep, and you can find whether this text exists in some file or not. Okay, so we'll go to that and we'll have some practical session based on that. Okay, so let's get started. I do find, okay, and I say search the entire system, and the max depth is 1, and the file name is abc.txt. it it does not find any file in the current directory. So I say the max depth is equal to 2, it does not find it. Then I say 10. You see, so in the current folder we don't have any file with this name, but in subfolder I have. So up to 2 subdirectories we didn't have. So when I say that it will recursively go into 10 subdirectories and it's ultimately found. So this is how you can restrict the recursive nature of find command in finding files, right? Similarly, the one interesting example is find. Suppose if I want to find any text, right, and I'm not sure in which file it is, so I will say search all the text file, and I will say let's use the exe command, which comes in very handy, to be honest. I mean, I've been using more often than not. And I say ignore cases, hyphen a for that. Then I want to search for this word in all the files, and you see you have it. Okay, so you can find any word or any text character or any paragraph, right, using grep command, and you can use find for finding all the files that can contain this word. So this is how, I mean, you can use find command. And I tell you, find command is very amazing. It has amazing ability to find anything. Similarly, you can have multiple options you can give. Hyphen o is for or, so here you are finding a dot out or all the objective files or the code files and removing them. So if you want to have multiple selection, you need to have it in bracket, and you have to have a backslash to ensure that it is interpreted in a correct manner, right? So this is how you can utilize find command to use your work very efficiently, and it's very powerful. Okay, so this is how I end my session, and I want you to spend a day, um, use all these commands on your local system. In the first tutorial I have already explained how to get Linux on your Windows system, and then you can use putty or anything and just connect with it, and you can execute all this command, practice it, and you can use it for your projects or anything. Okay, so this is the Govind Kumar signing off.